to returning citizens. We were able to negotiate a deal where we got like 30 minutes on the radio at 99 Jams to talk about, Amendment 4 and other local, policies and politics. Enjoyed it, so we started doing it on Sundays as like a podcast with, at the time, Janet Michelle. She was our co-host, and she, filled that role until she moved. And then we had Carla Bristol, Carla B. She came in for a season. And then Reno was behind the scenes. He was always present because we did organizing together, so he'd come and hang out. And then the things that he was saying off camera was like, man, we might as well just have you on the show.
The negative thoughts that you is thinking about right now, or any particular subject, y'all, just flip it.
Turn problems into opportunities.
Problems are opportunities, man. Big shouts out to South Soprano, man.
Real deal, man.
We on the jump board together right now.
Just being around people and clearly always talking, I just felt like at least learn something. So as you see that you're not going to shut up, you can have substance to your conversation and not just be labeled somebody who just love to talk.
Really being informative, looking to give the information that isn't readily available in our community.
Multiple meteorologists can look at the same data and come up with a different forecast.
And so now you take those models, take that data and say, okay, based upon all of that,
absolutely,
you might be in between here and there, and that's my know what I'm saying speech.
Most recently, after Carla B, transitioned out and went to do other things as well, Qiana, we invited Qiana.
I've been working with the guys for a while outside of this, and they called me to interview. And when I came in to interview that Sunday, after the show, they was like, hey, you need to be a part of the show. And I was like, okay.
I look at it almost like a band and the instruments, but it's just the instrument that we're using is our voices.
My voice is already kind of squeaky. I know my voice can get squeakier.
You have to have your radio voice on. And have that vocal control.
I talk lower when I need to calm it down. And when I'm very passionate about it, I slow it down. And because I want you to understand what I'm saying.
What's good for the geese is good for the gander. So if you keep it secrets, just know that she can too.
Okay, and see, that's Qiana, that's why you need it on the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. You feel? So you gonna even things out. You know what I'm saying? I was just joking. You know what I'm saying? It was joking.
We just understand power. And in terms of people's attention, because it costs, people's attention costs. That's why it's called pay attention.
We want to present local information right up there with, the trending topics.
One thing that's a common denominator with all of us is that we're all passionate about our people.
For me, what you take from me is that I'm real and I'm passionate about the growth of our people.
The overall goal, I would say, is to have a more informed community around electoral politics, around health, around equity.
It's about the mission of connecting the dots and closing the gaps, inspiring people to see what's possible, and trying to be an example. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing sometimes, but you do the best that you can with what you have, and you pray that others will be inspired to join in.
For more info, visit cdatcenter.org/Tampa Bay Breakfast Club.
Stop, cheat, stop, cheat, stop.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. Just brushing up on some of my favorite literary classics. Even if a page turner like this isn't up your alley, did you know our libraries offer so much more than classic books? There's also things like passes to local museums. You can download ebooks onto your Kindle device. And super cool things like a teen gaming program. Visit your local library and see all it has to offer.
Teach the baby.
Teach the baby.
Teach the children.
and the adults. Teach the adults too. Let's not forget about the adults.
They need to be taught to.
Because the adults are the ones who teach the children.
You are so right about that. Good morning.
Good morning, Tampa Bay.
This is Qiana.
And this is the Intellectual Gangster, your masculinity coach, your brother, Donnie.
And this is the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club.
The Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. The baddest show in the land, y'all.
Yep, baby.
Y'all already know it.
Brought to you by the New Image Project, better known as
See That.
Yes, and you saw that.
You always see that.
And we are redefining what's cool.
Right on.
Okay, so it's Friday.
Because smart
is the new gangster.
Is the new gangster.
It is.
And gangster is the new smart.
Ooh, pow pow.
Right on.
Okay, so listen, it's Freestyle Friday.
Freestyle Friday.
We made it a whole nother week.
An entire week. Can you believe that?
I can.
Me too. Because we planned to make an entire week.
Yeah.
We didn't go on this thing thinking that we weren't going to make an entire week.
I mean, you never do, but you never know.
And that's the truth. It's a graveyard full of people had plans, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
Come on now. Today is also the first day of Eid, which is the end of Ramadan. So for the Islamic community out there, we want to say Eid Mubarak, which in Arabic means blessed Eid, or have a very blessed day. The Eid Takbir goes Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, wa la alhamd. So this is a greeting, a salutation that goes out among the Islamic world for over 1 billion Muslims who participated in the month of Ramadan.
We had so I miss the dinner here.
Mm-hmm.
That they had to
Kareem.
Oh, there we go. Look.
Let's go. Keep your seat, man. Look, we live.
So I understand.
Listen, they know. Came in here
look here. Brotherhood is live.
Yeah, brotherhood is live. I'm your brother John.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm listening.
Yeah. And Ramadan over today, right?
Eid, yes, it's the beginning of
This the last day.
No, it's the first day of the end of Ramadan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now we celebrate
3 days.
Okay, so wait. Could you eat this morning?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So
you can eat every morning.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I know.
Because the sun is out.
Yeah.
And you still ain't bring nothing to drink today.
I didn't, because I'm running like Forrest Gump. You know how that go.
Run, Forrest, run.
When you're fasting, you have to get out of Ramadan. Like, people don't understand. Yeah. You got to transition out of Ramadan. That's true. It's not, it's one of those things where you can just hop out of it. Sometimes
you don't wake up like, oh my God, we can eat. Like, it's not like that. Like I haven't had anything to eat or drink this morning, just because we've been doing it for 30 days.
Right. And to break a habit or to get into routine thing, they say you have to do something 21 days consecutive.
Yeah.
So you did it 9 extra days.
Yeah. I feel good too. I feel real good.
And
yeah, it feels good.
I see you have your City of St. Pete hat on.
This was a birthday present. Jabal got me this for my birthday.
And late Mabruk, I didn't wish you a happy birthday publicly. I didn't see
you. That was 30 days ago.
I'll tell you, Mabruk for your birthday.
Thank you. Brother Donnie, how many languages do you speak?
5.
5 languages. Which 5?
English, Spanish, Arabic, Portuguese, and a Sicilian dialect of Italian.
Okay. Wow. The intellectual gangster for real.
I speak.
Y'all thought we was playing.
So listen, I speak
y'all thought we was
English.
Okay.
Qiana.
Okay.
And fluent in Qiana too.
Fluent, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I identify as bilingual.
Okay.
I speak English and then I speak us.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And when I apply
we talk too.
And when I apply for a job, I say us too.
You say us too? You speak us?
I speak us.
I speak English then.
Well, the funny thing is, it's funny that you mentioned that. Noam Chomsky, the linguist, was talking about how it's disproportionately racist against American African or Black communities that people say that we don't speak English well. Right. Because he says that any language where you can get your needs met, if you can come and you have a need and you can get your needs met, then that means you're fluent in that language.
Okay.
So we have to redefine.
How you like with that?
Yeah, we have to.
If you can get your needs met by speaking that language, then you fluent.
But you look at it like everybody has kind of like a broken language when you look at it, like French, and then you have Pata, right?
Creole.
That's Creole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which is a broken French, which will be kind of like their slang,
which is like their Ebonics.
Yeah,
kind of. But it's identified, and this is the thing that I don't like: the discrimination against American Africans from the United States is that Creole is identified as an official African language.
Right.
It is.
Right.
Patois in Jamaica, on certain parts of the island, English-speaking islands, is identified as an official African language of the New World, of the diaspora. But when we speak, they call it broken English, or they call it, wrong, or they say, well, you can't talk, or you don't speak well.
You ain't talking properly.
Right. I think we need to look at that. We need to start investigating this. And as a educator,
yes,
and as a rhetorician, I think that's a direction that I want to start questioning.
I mean, you got to look at it when you think about it, and this is just Qiana. The narrative that Americans want to paint Black Americans or Africans or here, and the narrative is always to downplay whatever we're doing, and then you go to other countries and uplift.
Right on.
Okay.
No, I love that though. I like what you said. Just really looking into it. I remember that conversation about Ebonics, and there was a lot of mixed reviews on whether or not it should be classified as an official language, and how do you do it, and dictionaries for it. So now you got the Urban Dictionary and things like that, right?
So basically, it is a language.
I mean, you heard the intellectual gangster. If you can get your needs met, you fluent.
Right. And
there are nuances in words that are in. It's called AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English. That's the word they use in the academy.
African American Vernacular English.
Yeah,
that's how they define.
That's how they define. Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it's classified, and it has the different features of a language. There was an individual named Ferdinand Saussure who started a branch of linguistics called Saussure linguistics. And what he said was that when you study languages don't only incorporate the things that are, but they incorporate everything that isn't. So when you say bread, you're not just talking about the definition of bread. You're talking about, when you acknowledge bread, everything that's not bread.
Oh, wait. Wow. So you say that. I know. I hear that. Everything that's not it is also acknowledged when you say it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is just a branch of linguistics that you have to study, particularly in studying history, because there's so many signs. Linguistics it's only about the development of signs. Well, every sign that points to something points to everything also that's not that sign.
Okay, I hear that.
Good morning, Sharonda.
So when I point to Qiana, I'm pointing to everything that's not Qiana too.
As well.
Right.
You have to, in order for us to recognize Qiana, we have to recognize that Qiana is also everything that's not Qiana.
Yeah, no, I get that. It's like one of the things that they talk about with good mental health is the ability to differentiate between things.
Right on.
You need to.
Yeah, like you don't compare. You don't put everything as everything as everything.
It's a lot of gray area. Good morning, Sierra.
Thank you. Listen to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, the new morning show right here on 99.1 FM.
And the baddest show in the land.
It is. It really is.
Good morning,
and not
Talisa.
Bad meaning bad, but
bad meaning good.
Come on.
I don't think y'all called that.
There it is.
Yeah, it is.
Hope it didn't go over your head
It's
this
Freestyle Friday.
morning.
What we doing?
Thank you for the stars, Sierra. We see them. Good morning, Crystal. Okay. Also, happy birthday to Baby Davis. He turned 1 today.
Okay. Was Zay?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is Zay, right?
Sharonda, what's the baby name?
But we know he won today, and we didn't miss it.
Mabruk on your birthday.
Mabruk. Which language is that?
That's Arabic.
Okay.
Mabruk is Arabic, but it's Nechaim is usually the one they use in Hebrew.
Okay.
But it can also be Hebrew too.
Okay.
Which is interesting. We got Brother Barak is coming.
Yes.
And Barak is a name that goes across.
Zayden.
Okay. That's the brother's name.
Okay.
The baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
I told you
Barak is a name that comes from.
It goes across Semitic languages, so it means blessing in all of the Semitic languages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blessing.
I like Barak. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited about that as well.
Brother's so talented.
Looking forward to the conversation.
about the mentoring program and the things that he's doing and all of the good work that's going on in the community.
They're having a golf tournament, right?
Yeah, they're having a golf tournament, and he has a mentoring program. He's looking for male mentors, and it's explicit. When I looked at the page, it says masculine male mentors, and so I want to really plumb that and talk about that.
Yes, most definitely.
Because I know they had this whole debate maybe a year or two ago, and it was like this whole conversation around toxic masculinity. We also have our masculinity coach in here, so
yes.
This is.
I think that. Do you think that there is some toxic? I mean, I think there's toxic traits across the board,
right.
Depending on how you were raised or what you believe in. You know what I mean? We can definitely teach people the wrong way and give them the wrong tools.
You can toxify anything.
You really can. You can dirty up some water now. You can
muddy some water.
Oh, you surely can.
What we have to be careful about, though, is being able to falsify our terms. So whenever you're talking about making a claim, the merit of that claim is the ability to be able to falsify that claim. So falsification means to show something that is not that.
Okay.
So when we talk about toxic femininity, toxic masculinity, toxic culture, we have to be able to say or to falsify the term and say, okay, this is toxic because this is not toxic. But if we can't falsify a term, then we can't accept it because anything can be it. You see what I mean? So if people can't tell you or they can't give you an example of non-toxic masculinity, then they do not have the ground to stand on to call any kind of masculinity toxic.
I love it. No, and I like. We'll see. I see how you're looking, but what Brother Donnie is doing is he's taking flipping the pancake to a whole nother level. Because we talk about flipping the pancake all the time, and he's just being consistent and running that string through, saying, "Look, if you can talk about what it is, you also have to be able to talk about what it's not." That's flipping the pancake. That's what we've been saying for years now.
Or else we can make any claim.
Yeah.
I can call anything toxic masculinity. And if we can't tell you what's not toxic masculinity, then I'm just making a claim.
Come on, man.
That means I can either make that claim, but it doesn't have to be accepted by the person that I'm making that claim to.
Because you can't show me what the reverse of
I'm
that
not
is.
disagreeing with y'all. I'm really not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with y'all. I'm rolling my eyes, but I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that I'm not. I'm
keep up, huh?
I'm 100% with y'all, right? I'm totally with y'all. But okay.
So can you give us some examples of toxic masculinity? And listen, we're not ganging up on you.
Well, I can tell you. I think
everybody thinks that anyway, though. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's say this. They listen.
Everybody think that's good.
But it's okay. But one thing they do say is I hold my own.
Yeah, you do.
But I like it. I like it. It's okay.
Look, and you got the mic. You got the mic.
But I will tell you one thing is that not showing your emotions.
That's toxic?
That's definitely toxic when you tell boys not to show their emotion. And I do think there's times that they have to be tough, but there's times when they need to share their emotions because then we get grown men who cannot express properly and then they're angry because they were told to shut down.
Okay.
So how though? How do we relate that to masculinity?
I mean, but they said that's how when you look at little boys, right? And I'm saying when their fathers or somebody say you're a man, you're a boy, suck it up. You're not supposed to.
Little boys don't cry,
right?
Like that's
yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's toxic masculinity.
Yes, I think so.
Telling a boy that he's not supposed to cry.
Yes.
Okay.
What if a mother tells her son that she's not supposed to cry? Is she teaching him toxic masculinity?
It goes across the board. Yes.
Okay. So my question then is it considered toxic? And again, naturally, I'm not rebuffing what you're saying. I just want to know. What is? Is it considered?
If you got to give if you have to give a blanket statement of what you're not doing, you're about to do it. Go ahead.
So women teach toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you said it's not man or woman, because everybody listening to you, everybody has masculine and feminine ways, right? Everybody can walk in their masculine, everybody can walk in the feminine. And we see that people play both roles all the time. And when there is a father that's absent, or sometimes the woman masculinity have to come out, and then they teach. And then, I think that we have been given wrong tools sometimes to teach our children.
So the toxic parents produce toxic situation conditions. Was that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So would you say that in the vast majority of families that are raised in a single parent home where the mother is the primary caretaker, would you say that mothers then are heavily responsible for toxic masculinity?
I can say yeah. If they're teaching wrong, if they're teaching wrong, and then I will tell you this: the absentee of the father makes somebody else then put in a role that they're not supposed to. So then you're acting out something that you think should be, but that is not your role.
So there are roles.
I am a grown person. So hey, I am a grown person. I am a grown person. Am I not? I am definitely a grown person.
We subscribe to roles.
Oh, right. And I got
saying that they don't mix.
Check out Coach T.
Not just mothers are to blame. I agree.
Coach T says, hold on. No, I hit the wrong one. Shana said exactly, call it what it is, Q. And then Coach T says, yes, I just saw something that said, ask your kids if they need a hug instead of telling them to stop crying. Coach T also says that toxic masculinity is not taught, it's learned and developed through neglect and mistreatment.
Okay, so she would have to explain that.
Okay.
Coach T, if you wouldn't mind.
Call Coach T.
Call up and
727-637-2416.
And just explain how something can be learned but not taught.
Because
how can it be learned and not taught?
Because if it's learned, then somebody had to teach it. And even let me say this, even though
or unintentionally,
right? That's why I was
passively or actively.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just skipped.
No, I like it. No, you really didn't. No, we're all in the same thing. So we're not disagreeing with you, Coach T. We're just elaborating that if you learn something, somebody had to teach it, or you had to pick it up. And even if they didn't want to teach it, you saw by their actions, and so you picked it up. Just like when we used to say, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah,
but then you look at your children, if you tell them not to procrastinate and they see you procrastinate all your life, they end up taking that trait, even though you tried not to teach them that, but you did due to your actions.
Got it. And it's Ty, not T. I missed that second I. It's TII. That's Ty.
And she said yes, she agreed with that.
Yeah, I went to Pinellas County School, so sometimes I see things and read things differently.
And yes, Shana, I would agree. It is not just mothers. I mean, it's across the board. Even if a father comes in and do it, whenever you portray a role that, not saying that you can't do it, but you still portraying a role that you wasn't designed for.
Designed by whom?
The one above.
I love this intellectual game.
That's a pretty interesting. That's a pretty interesting thing, because you have to ask yourself who then benefits from these toxicities that we identify.
I will say this. So, the society that we in, when you want to. We talk about how our families are broken, right? You look at the system, and then we look at just going here. We don't subscribe to all, but I'm just going to go to this example with the welfare system. If you want to help a family build, why tear them apart? I have to give you housing and take the father out, now our families are torn apart. So then, no, you're not doing us a justice, because if you really wanted us to thrive, you would make sure that units stayed together and you wouldn't purposely pull them apart. And so with studies also show when there's a two-parent household, how kids thrive even more, because you definitely need a balance. I say this all the time. Parenting is a team sport. You was never made to do it by yourself. Not saying that people don't, but you were never made to do it by yourself, because you cannot get pregnant by yourself.
Right on.
Amen. Ashe.
And then she sat back.
And then sat back and grabbed the coffee.
And grabbed the coffee.
And grabbed the coffee
right
at the same time.
Mic drop.
Yeah.
All right, so Q. So naturally. Oh, go ahead.
No, did y'all see this? I'm just going to switch gears a little bit.
Go ahead.
A St. Pete GoFundMe plans to take 200 local Black girls to see The Little Mermaid. So a St. Pete-based production company is hosting a screening of the upcoming release of The Little Mermaid, and it's inviting 200 local Black girls to join them for free. Black on the Scene is planning to rent out a theater for girls in the community so that they can watch the first live-action Black Disney princess and see themselves amplified and magical. I know you are a resident mermaid. It's dubbed Black on the Sea. The event is being organized by Black on the Scene founder, I don't want to mess her name up, Miss Kennedy, who has started a GoFundMe to source funds for renting out the theater when the movie is released. So far, the account has raised more than $4,000 of its $15,000 goal. What y'all think about that? Taking Black girls to see The Little Mermaid.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Anything to empower, right? This is not harming anybody. Mm-hmm. You see that everybody was uproar about The Little Mermaid, right?
Yeah. About her being Black.
You saw it when they made Annie Black.
Oh yeah,
you know
that's right. That's right.
You know, people really was about like, no, it's not supposed to, but you need to see.
That's so crazy to me.
I would much rather a group of girls be brought to see The Little Mermaid than The Woman King.
Oh,
what was your wrong? Somebody just said take them to see
The Woman King.
Oh my goodness!
Talk about toxic femininity.
Oh my goodness! I'm a historian.
Okay.
And I'm a historian by education, by trade. I'm an actual historian. I have really degrees in history.
Yeah.
I think that anything that's done to glorify the kingdom of Dahomey is probably the biggest affront that you can ever do to American Africans or African people in general. The kingdom of Dahomey was one of the most disgusting kingdoms in the history of African people. What individuals don't know, if they look up, you guys look up the rights of Dahomey. Dahomey was a warrior kingdom. Mm-hmm. So it was and we glorify warriors now because we live in a culture that glorifies war. But the kingdom of Dahomey was a predatory warrior kingdom that was based and funded primarily from its ability to instigate wars on other peaceful African people so that those people could be enslaved. Well, there was a thing called the rights of the kings. There are trade winds that go across the Atlantic, one in the summertime and one in the fall. When these trade winds are met, individuals can ship from West African coast, then catch the Gulf Stream and go right across the Atlantic and participate in the system of transatlantic human trafficking that we call slavery. Well, when those trade winds don't come, then you end up with a lot of people in mass. So let me tell you something that happened in Dahomey. They had a celebration for these individuals that were represented in the Woman King, the quote unquote Dahomey Amazons. Where they would take thousands of captive Africans from other nations and from other areas. And if the trade winds didn't come, they couldn't feed and house them. So they massacred them in mass. Wow. These were mass murderers. To celebrate the Woman King would be equivalent to celebrate Nazi Germany.
Oh, wow.
These were horrible, awful individuals. And just because your oppressor is a Black woman doesn't mean that she's not your oppressor.
Come on now.
So the fiction that Disney shows in The Little Mermaid is probably a lot less toxic than the fiction that was shown in The Woman King.
So, Coach,
I love this, man.
Coach T say
Ty.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ty.
So
I won't never say.
No,
I went there. I did. No,
all three of us. All three of us.
Yeah. But you see it because it's Sorry, it's Coach Ty. We are so, and we saw the eyes, even if it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, she say we can talk about the history of all the Disney movies too, though.
Yeah.
I mean, listen.
Perhaps.
I'm going to tell you this is that we can look in there and we can find something wrong with everything that we look at, right? I'm going to say that. You can depict and say, hey, we can tear it apart. But sometimes I think we just need to enjoy a good movie.
Yeah, so I think that's when we talk about education and entertainment and you mix the two and you get edutainment. Mm-hmm. And you have that balance. And so I think going into The Woman King, a lot of the conversations around it was like, this is based upon, a true story, but like you have those disclaimers, and I'm big on like reading the disclaimers and knowing like when you watching these movies, like nobody was there transcribing the intimate conversations between a man and his wife. So
it was loose.
It's loosely based. So they have like it's the base. But then they build and add on things to it to make it entertaining.
And what happens, and I will tell you, is everybody's not a historian like Donnie.
Yeah.
Right?
I ruin a lot of movies.
No,
Love.
I'm not
I do. I ruin a lot of movies. Any movie made by Mel Gibson, I'm gonna ruin it. Like it's not gonna fly. It's gonna be bad when I watch it.
Okay, but everybody's
because
not
you got the perspective of
some right.
history. Yeah.
So everybody's not a historian like him.
Yeah.
And what they do is they hear or see something, a piece of it. And then you got to think when somebody makes a movie, it's their imagination of what they thought that was portrayed at that point. And so they changed the narrative. And this is, I mean, honestly, just to see yourself as a powerful person in there, regardless of the history, because again, you pay, just like America paints a picture of who Black people are, and that we bring nothing to the table, and that all our men are deadbeat dads, and y'all are examples that that's not true, and that all y'all are drug dealers and all this other stuff. And then you have a movie that depicts a woman right here, and even though it may be some falsification in it, it still uplift the woman and show the strength, and not
all women shouldn't be uplifted.
All men shouldn't either.
I don't think they should.
No, you shouldn't. But you still should always see yourself in a positive line if you can.
Exactly. But that's why you shouldn't see yourself as a Dahomey Amazon. These were killers of African people who enjoyed the killing of African people, particularly men. Now, mind you, if you don't study these people, then you would think that the Viola Davis is the woman that she's supposed to be portraying in this thing. But when you realize this, you should probably look at the directors. You should probably look at the production team for the Woman King.
I agree.
And then you should ask yourself, who gives you your stories? When there are cases that you can look for in African history of people who fit the bill of a hero or a heroine. Mariam McCabe is far more of a heroine than the fictional character played by Viola Davis.
Yeah, and I think to your point about looking at who gives you your movies, and we got to think about the writers. We got to think about those scripts. Again, this when we look at stories that are based upon historical figures, like The Godfather of Harlem, for example. Right? When you watch The Godfather of Harlem, the first thing that it says, one of the first things that it tells you is like, this is like some BS, basically. Like, we got these people in here. These are real people, but the storyline and the stuff we making up is fictional to create dramatic effect. And so those conversations that they was recording and that they had with Malcolm X and this woman making it look like, you know, he got a thing for this woman. Like, all of this stuff, all of this stuff is, they're telling you up front. But like, these are real people in some cases, because in some cases the people aren't even real.
But it's basically loosely.
It's like if we had to tell a story about Malcolm X, this is what we would say he said. That's pretty much.
I mean, that's what movie tellers do.
Yeah,
like when I
say, but
really,
we have to know the difference. That's the thing. Like, we can't look at them like, oh, y'all know Malcolm had a crush on this girl, right?
If you loosely,
so you watch Godfather Harlem. I did too. I love it.
Yeah.
Right.
But I watch it through the lens of like knowing that it's all that even 90%, 99%.
But even when you look at their relationship, it still stay 100% platonic.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at this. If you loosely,
loosely we got 3 minutes before we got to go.
And if you loosely tell the truth on the stand, you've perjured yourself.
If you loosely tell the truth on the stand.
If you tell a truth that's based on real events, but you give a story that's based on real events, and you do that on the stand, you're going to jail. Yeah. If you loosely tell the truth in front of federal agents, you will go to jail.
Yeah.
Because you have to tell the truth, or
it depends on how convincing you are.
Or you can say the truth doesn't. Or we can say, just say, look, we don't want to tell the truth.
And we have this. We have no movies.
Well,
we have no movies because it's all about entertainment.
But you got documentaries, which I recommend heavily.
Coach Ty says, but if we taking young girls to the movie, we got to explain to them why we are showing them, despite the history, that they can be strong and work together and have the choice if they want to be with a man or not.
Well, strength is another thing that we have to define. We were talking about power rather than approval, right? So we have to define what strength is. When we say that they can be strong, what does that mean? Does that mean that they can physically fight? Does that mean they can kill men? Does that mean that they can kill other women? Or does it mean that they can, quote unquote, fill a role? Why don't we call softness strength?
Yeah.
It is.
Ooh.
It is. No, it is. So, okay, so.
Look, I'm channeling my Mr. Edmund.
Oh, they said they miss you. They said that you bring in the butter and the salt. More butter and salt to the fruit.
Thank you.
Okay, so yes, I will say that softness is a strength. Anytime you can tap into who you are is a strength.
How many of the women that you saw on the Woman King, how many of them were soft?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember, but I can't exactly. We got 60 seconds.
And I will say this: you saw softness, and you saw the strength of being hard, but then you also saw the softness when I watched it, and I watched it late after everybody else, is when she realized that was her daughter.
Yeah.
You
so
know
you saw
what I mean?
moments of softness.
Yeah, I did. But yeah. I mean, and then again, you have to look at the society of what they depict or push you to be, even if you won't. This woman was also raped, which took her softness away from her. Right? Yeah. In this movie. Right or wrong. Right or wrong. Well, it's the movie we're talking about, not the history, but the movie itself. Let's not go to the history. But you got to think.
If we're going to extricate the history, then obviously I can't add anything.
I mean, because we're talking about the movie.
Yeah,
and we're talking
we're talking about it all. We're talking about the movie. We're talking about the history.
Are we recognizing that the movie is historical fiction?
Yeah, I think it's very important to lift up the fact, and I think that's really the bottom line of all of this, is that these movies are historical fiction. Like they take historical context and stories and motifs, and then they fictionalize them and add the things that they want to add to it and propagate what they want to propagate and get what
and get all of that other stuff. But
we got to take a break, y'all, and I want y'all to really stay right. So those who are in now, we got people watching the live. Don't go nowhere, because after the break, we got Barak Amen coming in, and he's going to talk about this male mentoring program that he's doing. He's doing some amazing things in the community, and y'all don't want to miss this. So
invite some people and share us. Yes. We're on Facebook Live.
And do the stars and donate. All right, we'll be back.
We gonna be back, y'all. Wake up, yeah.
A 6-year-old girl and her father after their basketball rolled into his garden has been arrested. Police say the man gave himself up in Florida. From Washington, Jessica Parker.
Police say that 24-year-old Robert Louis Singletary presented himself at a sheriff's office in Tampa yesterday afternoon. The shooting happened on Tuesday evening in Gaston County, North Carolina.
In Yemen, where at least
a neighbor told reporters that it began
this week in a stampede at a charity giveaway and the latest disaster to hit Yemen, which has been devastated by the U.S. Saudi war.
Because of the war, there has been a lot of horrific human rights violations in Yemen. All of these violations were left without accountability and justice.
All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Two warring factions of Sudan's military have announced a 72-hour ceasefire coinciding with the start of the Muslim holiday of Eid al-Fitr. Despite the announcement, residents of Sudan's capital, Khartoum, and neighboring cities report gunfire and shelling have continued. The World Health Organization reports at least 413 people have been killed and more than 3,500 others injured in the week since fighting erupted between Sudan's army and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group. Earlier today, Sudan's top general and de facto ruler, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, made his first public remarks since the fighting broke out.
There remains hope that we are with our great people, and we will overcome this tribulation and emerge from it unified, strong, and coherent. And our slogan will only get stronger: one army, one people.
In his speech, the general claims Sudan's military is committed to a transition to civilian rule, even though he led the coup 18 months ago that toppled Sudan's civilian Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. CNN is reporting the Russian mercenary Wagner Group has been supplying Sudan's Rapid Support Forces with missiles that could not be independently confirmed. Meanwhile, the Pentagon's been rotating more troops into its base in Djibouti to prepare for the possible evacuation of U.S. diplomatic personnel from Sudan, they say. A new study finds the vast ice sheets covering Greenland and Antarctica are melting 3 times faster than they were just 30 years ago. Study co-author Ruth Mottram described the findings as disastrous, warning coastal communities will face increasing amounts of flooding as sea level rise accelerates due to the melting ice. On Thursday, the European Commission's climate agency reported last year was the continent's second warmest year on record and warned this year is on track to set more record temperatures across Europe and around the world. This is Samantha Burgess of the Copernicus Climate Change Service.
We saw prolonged and extensive heat waves and also prolonged and extensive drought over much of the continent. We had the highest emissions of carbon from wildfires in a number of countries, and those wildfires were bigger than average. They started earlier than average, and the season persisted longer than average. We also saw record ice melt from glaciers in the European Alps. So climate change isn't a future problem, it is a current problem.
NATO's Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg made a surprise visit to Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, Thursday for talks with President Volodymyr Zelensky. During a joint press conference, Zelensky said it's time for NATO to invite Ukraine to join the military alliance. Stoltenberg replied the issue would be discussed at the NATO summit in Vilnius, Lithuania in July.
This will be high on the agenda of the meeting and also in the lead up and the preparations for the Vilnius summit. Ukraine's future is in the Euro-Atlantic family. Ukraine's future is in NATO. All allies agree on that.
This week, Ukraine received U.S.-made surface-to-air Patriot missile systems for the first time. Meanwhile, Russian officials have admitted a Russian warplane bombed the city of Belgorod near Ukraine late Thursday after it accidentally fired a weapon. Russia's defense ministry said some buildings have been damaged, but no one was injured in the blast, which left a huge crater in the street near several apartment buildings. President Biden's pick to lead the Labor Department testified before a Senate panel Thursday as her nomination hearings got underway. Julie Su appears to face roadblocks by both Republicans and conservative Democrats who oppose her pro-worker, pro-union track record. Su, who's serving as Deputy Labor Secretary and is also a civil rights attorney, would be the first Asian American to serve as secretary in Biden's cabinet.
After law school, I spent nearly 2 decades representing workers. What I learned is that too many people still work full-time, year-round, and live in poverty. Too many are denied a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. At the same time, I learned that working people, when given a chance to organize, to be heard, not only make things better for themselves, but help to bring the American dream within reach to those around them.
In Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni has refused to sign into law a draconian anti-LGBTQ bill, which allows for the death penalty in some cases and criminalize even identifying as gay. Instead, the president urged the Ugandan parliament to make the legislation even harsher. He made the announcement Thursday as he praised lawmakers for their efforts and rejected international pressure to undo the controversial measure. The intensifying violence against the LGBTQ.
No, you want to have my headphones?
No, I hear you.
Okay.
Oh, and just like that, we back and y'all heard us too.
It's community radio, right? So welcome back to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm your brother John.
This is Qiana.
The intellectual gangster, your masculinity coach, your brother Donnie.
And this program is being brought to you as part of the New Image Project of the Community Development and Training Center, aka See That?
See That.
And we'd like to thank y'all for tuning in, helping us to redefine what's cool. We also have a guest in the building, y'all. My man, Barak Amen.
Yo, what's up? What's going on?
Hey,
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be here.
Here to talk about father figures. What's that? Mentorship and transitional
Father figures, mentorship, and transitional services, man. We are a nonprofit organization. We are helping the at-risk youth be inspired and redirected to change the trajectory of their lives. We want to show masculine behavior in a way other than what the kids see outside of sports, rap, hip hop, and their local drug dealers. We want to show them that it's possible to be, quote unquote, successful and cool, without being one of those.
I love that. I loved you included local drug dealers. Because I tell my story, right? When I talk about growing up and they said, it's opportunities. And so you got to go to school so you can get a good job. That was like the mantra. And then I walked outside and I saw people who were not in school, but they appeared to be gainfully employed.
They had a good job. They looked like they had a good job.
They looked like they had a good job.
Exactly.
And they turned out to be the local drug dealers, and they were always hired. So I digress. but that acknowledgement is so real, particularly for our generation.
That's the truth.
And I don't think that is lifted up enough. And so that's what I bring when I'm telling my story. Like, y'all overlook that. And then also the origins of that. I heard you talking about it. I think it was either Wednesday or Monday on the program about the war on drugs and the impact and all of that stuff. Because we talk about the war in Ukraine, World War II, and all of those wars, but we don't really emphasize the war on drugs.
Right.
The targets of the war, the casualties of the war, the political prisoners of the war, the cost of the war, like the survivors of the, you know what I'm saying? And that was largely us. So
yes.
That's my rant. It's Freestyle Friday.
Oh, it is Freestyle Friday. Now, before you came on, right, me and Brother Donnie was sitting up here talking, and he was like, hey, he has to pull back because you're so funny. And he do not want to laugh so hard.
Not in this mic. I don't want to laugh in this mic. But very briefly, Brother Barak, I had an opportunity to see you for the first time. My wife and I went to a Goop Man show.
Okay.
And you actually won the show.
Yes, sir.
But you were so doggone funny that I almost sweat up my collar. And look, I don't sweat on my collar.
I appreciate that. That's what it's about. That's definitely what it's about.
I have a favorite joke of yours, right? That I always tell, and it just like, so we're with your sister. And you was like, she passed away, then you almost tried to kill yourself. And you was like, you know what? I almost tried to kill myself. I ain't gonna do that no more.
No, it's true because you know a lot, and that's one of the things I was able to take a dark place and turn it into jokes because people don't realize that. They don't realize, you know, as a comedian, you know, we take the darkest side of our reality and we turn it into something that everybody else can laugh from.
Right.
Because just like in life, we got to do that. We got to laugh at some of our, you know, our downfalls. We got to laugh at some of the things that's there in our face, our traumas. Because at the end of the day, it's not going nowhere. We got to deal with it, you know. And as a culture, man, we've always self-medicated. You know what I mean?
True.
But yeah, man, comedy has definitely gave me a platform to get to where I am now. But what I say that's not funny is the condition of us in our youth right now.
Come on, right.
So that ain't no joke.
You
know what I mean? That ain't no joke. You know, and that's one of the
we
things.
We talk about linguistics. That's not nothing.
That ain't nothing. That's not nothing.
That's not nothing to laugh.
Which is that's a double African trait.
It is
the double negative on something. It is because it makes it a superlative. It says it's not just not that. It's not
right.
That.
It's not
It's not that.
So are y'all real? Are y'all just real?
Hey, you know what? So I want to tell a quick story. One of the
there we go.
Don't answer. One of the that's Junior back there. So one of the senior engineers at my job always asked me, he's like, how come every time you talk to one of the black people, you guys always say things twice? He was like, you always say good morning, or no, I'm good, I'm good. Yeah. Be like, well, that's because as black men, we're not allowed to have a bad day. We're not allowed to be down.
That's true.
So when I see another black man, I'm like, you good? He can have scars on his back and on his face, and if he say, yeah, I'm good, I know that bro ain't having a good day.
Right.
But in order to reinforce, they be like, nah, bro, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's what you say. Can somebody sing or can they sing?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's
it. That's a cultural thing.
Are you funny? Are you funny?
You know what I mean?
Or you just high.
Yeah. They like, bro,
you don't even say funny. You say you alright. That means you ain't really funny.
Bro, she will fine. Nah, bro, she will fine. That's a difference.
Now you know what most people don't know about you. By trade, you are an engineer.
I am an electronics engineer.
Yeah.
Correct. I'm the missile defense and aerospace sector. Correct.
Man.
Wow.
And that's one of the things they always told me that I wouldn't be able to do, especially with my background. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize, like, my mom was addicted to drugs. She gave me away at the age of 5. I was homeless from 14 to 17. I graduated high school 2 years early at the age of 16, spent my 17th birthday in the county jail. I was incarcerated from 19 to 24. I was an engineer at the age 30.
Come on, man.
You know, so those are all the things. Oh, I'm sorry. And I was a business owner at the age of 29.
Right.
So these are the things that people said that you couldn't do. And I chose to defy all of those odds and overcome all of those quote unquote stereotypes that was placed on me.
Brother Barak, Dr. Naeem Akbar said something that made a lot of sense one time. He said, with studying the history of African people in the West, he said, you can explain all the people who are unhoused. You can explain all the people who are addicted. You can explain all the broken families. You can explain all of the broken systems. You can explain all the broken relationships. But what we can't seem to explain is the genius.
Ooh.
We can't explain that.
Yeah.
Because there are no circumstances that should have produced it.
Right.
So we can explain all the detriments, but we can't explain the genius.
That's when we say God did.
Right on.
God did. God did. That's
so
true.
father figures. Tell us about father figures in the program and how did you really start that and get involved with it?
Well, growing up without a dad in my life, I realized that the youth need to see father figures. I never had a dad to look at and say, okay, well, this is when. Actually, it started when I had to fill out some medical forms and asked they asked what background does your mother have? What medical history does your father have?
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about my dad.
Okay.
So then I started thinking deeper. Is this the reason why I do this? Or is this the reason why I feel this way? And I started looking back on my past. And I had no dad to give me any types of behaviors that I can say, okay, well, I got this from my daddy.
Okay.
I had to look at the fact that I extracted certain parts of different men in the community. Not always the best parts.
Right.
I'm just glad that my aunts had amazing husbands to give me as my uncle so I could see more parts of masculine Black men. You know what I mean? So we created a program to be able to be those mentors that we needed when we were their age. Because when I was in high school, nobody...
Black people, we say things twice. Say that again.
We want to be the mentors that we needed when we were the youth age, when we were the troublemakers. We want to be able to be the change that we needed. But I realized also that when I go into a lot of the school system, I'm able to look at some of the kids and see myself in them. When I was going to school wearing the same clothes all week, and I would sit in the back of the class because I was stanking, or my shoes was talking, or nobody noticed that I was in lunch twice. I was in gym all day, but I still managed to get all of my work done. It wasn't my grades, it was my behavior. And we experienced the preschool to prison pipeline when we was getting those 5-day suspensions, 10-day suspensions.
Yeah.
Nobody was speaking to the engineer in me. They was only talking to the troublemaker. So they was like, okay, well, you're lashing out in class, you're talking during class. That's because I'm not being challenged.
Right.
I'm bored.
Yeah.
I'm not being challenged. So when I go into the school system and I see the shining stars that sometimes the white teachers overlook, they see them and they're like, oh, they're just a troublemaker. First of all, you don't understand. You're telling him, oh, he's talking wrong. He's using slang in my class. That's all he knows.
Right.
It's not that how he's speaking is wrong. He's speaking the way that he's been taught.
Right.
So when you tell him, oh, you're talking wrong in my class, you're telling him his mama's wrong, his grandma wrong. You're telling him that he has no education.
That's how everybody around him talks.
Right.
And you're telling him you talking wrong.
And all it does is take one person to believe and see you and change your whole perspective.
That's right. And that's why I try to be that change. When the kids see me, they see a Black man with tattoos, a beard, and I'm coming into the classroom. I meet them where they are. I'm talking to them about my experience. So when they see me, they're like, dang, bro, really got it from the mud.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, so his mom was addicted to drugs too? Oh, okay. He was homeless too? He had to wear the same, he ain't had no daddy too? So now they start coming to talk to me.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Barak, how did you overcome this?
And when you said you were by yourself, so at 5?
My mom gave me away at the age of 5. So it's a story I like to tell. I don't know how much time we got, so I'll be quick.
Yeah, we got
it was Christmas. It was Christmas. I had no Christmas tree. We didn't like traditional, Black people, we do traditions, so I didn't have a Christmas tree. We drew a Christmas tree at school, hung it on the wall, much like that poster. I was proud because that was all we had. I guess my mom signed up for some free toy drive or something. The fire department, the sheriffs came and they bought us toys. I was happy. They rolling in bikes and fire trucks and toys, and I'm like, oh, I'm happy. Came downstairs that next morning, everything's gone. My mom and her boyfriend sold the toys, smoked up the toys, and she was upset because I was upset. She was high, she got upset, she hit me, and she realized at that moment that she couldn't take care of me the way that she wanted to. She couldn't give me the love that she knew I needed. So she wrote on the back of a picture that we took at Busch Gardens. Remember the sepia pictures where the antique dresses and stuff? Yeah. She wrote on the back of one of those pictures that we took at Busch Gardens. She didn't know that I could read at the time. So she gave me the picture, told me to take it outside, and on the back of the letter it said, or the back of the picture, it said that her habit was taking over her life and she didn't want it to consume my life. So she gave me to my grandmother at the time. And my grandma did her best to take care of me, but as a young kid that's lashing out because I don't know what's going on around me, I'm starting to encounter different things growing up. Molested at the age of 11, so I'm lashing out. I don't really understand intimacy because my innocence was taken from me. I'm lashing out. I'm getting in fights. I'm stealing. So I'm getting locked up and incarcerated at a young age. And because of her addiction and her habits caused me to live a certain life that wasn't foreign to me, but I felt like I deserved better. I deserved different.
Yeah.
So luckily, I was able to find my way, thanks to the Department of Corrections. I gotta be honest. You know what I'm saying? Gotta be honest. I was locked up from 19 to 24, so I was able to sit by myself in a lot of the confinement that I found myself in, and I was able to reflect. Okay, well, what got me here?
Yeah.
I can't do this. I can't continue to keep being locked up. I've done this I realize I'm a terrible criminal. I can't continue to be a criminal.
Career path
So can I ask you a question?
Very briefly, Q, I just want to say this, brother, because we spoke about this before. This is why it is so incredibly dangerous, arrogant, and cruel to ask men who hurt you and not honestly inquire about their history.
Yeah.
That's a cruel thing
because it's done in jest.
It's done in jest, and it's done to be provocative.
Yeah,
and it's done to scar and seek to trigger. Yeah. So we have to be careful as a society, not particularly black men. Let's not ask them in our spite to win an argument. Well, who hurt you?
Well, it depends.
Because you don't know this brother's story. The answer to that could be you. So be careful when we do this, or understand that if she's not a therapist, she don't need to be asking you who hurt you.
It does come
I'm going to say that sometimes you do have to ask that question. Like, this is the other side of the pancake. If you genuinely want to help somebody, you can't do it out of spite. You know what I mean? But once you know somebody and you really truly love them, you can figure out where that hurt come from, even if you can't see it yourself. A lot of times, and again, it goes back down to your trauma, and it goes back to when you were a little boy or a little girl, and you haven't addressed that. Right. And then when somebody said it, when somebody's trying to love you, it's not always being arrogant. It's also trying to help you, because they want to show, they're looking for the love that they're portraying to you.
I see both sides.
I'm not saying that you're not wrong.
But we've made a caricature of the question. If she's not your therapist, you are under no obligation, men. You are under no obligation to answer that question if she's not your therapist.
Yeah, or if she's not sincerely seeking the answer to that
question,
and because a lot of times that comes in rhetoric.
Right.
It's not a sincere question.
Very disingenuous. It's very disingenuous. Now, I would like to say that a lot of times I promote that you talk during the talking phase. I met my wife at 24. I was fresh out of prison.
Talk during the talking phase.
You gotta talk during the talking phase.
Talk.
A lot of times when people say, "Oh, well, we talking," but they're not talking. They linking up after the club. A lot of their interactions is drunk. They high. They're not really able to really get to know each other. So I had just come from a period of time where I sat with myself and I realized what it was that I wanted. I was very specific and meticulous about the things that I asked for, because I know once they came to me, I had to be prepared. I had to go before myself to prepare myself to receive myself when I got there.
Come on now.
So when I did, I said I wanted a natural, beautiful black woman who accepted me for me. And and there was many more things, because there's a whole people always ask, what do you bring to the table? But I brought so much to the table when I got there.
Right.
So
I hate that question, but when you talk about it,
why do you need that question?
So when I hear it, usually, again, not always, but it's usually like you think you're above the other person. So you're like, what do you bring to the table? But you need to know but you don't know what nobody brings to the table until you know what the table needs.
But that's true.
Just say that.
No, that's true. But a lot of people don't. Again, they don't talk to the talking phase, so they don't know themselves. They don't know who they need. Knowledge of self is one of the main things that we need to find.
Yes.
So once you have knowledge of self, you know exactly what it is that you need.
Come on now.
You know what it is. What that's you?
Maybe not.
Hey, go to the bathroom. Daddy, not trying to embarrass you. Go to the bathroom.
Yeah, man.
His tummy just like your daddy. We can't eat that milk. We have.
I
done fed him a little oatmeal. His stomach like mine. You know, at a certain age, we can't eat certain stuff. Yeah. I sat there and fed him for oatmeal and brought him in his closed damn room with y'all. My bad. I just didn't want y'all thinking, because I was talking, I didn't want y'all to think it was my breath.
Yeah.
That's all.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
I told y'all before we started.
But I do have a question before we even got on there. So when you got out of prison, because I also say, and this is Qiana thing, or I don't know, I think black men need other black men in their life.
Oh,
right?
we do. They say iron sharpens iron, but we need to get around black men that's doing things. We can't continue to go back around the same people and circumstances that got us where we was at.
Yes,
and
sir.
People are very gregarious. They tend to follow the crowds. They go back to what they know. So, and again, I think that, working on anti-recidivism is another thing that we want to implement into our program, because
anti-recidivism for the people who went to Pinellas County School. Stopping people from going back to jail.
Right, the revolving door. My bad.
Recidivism is one of them non-profit terms. He's working on programs to keep you from going back, bro.
Because again, coming from the Department of Corrections, I've seen guys with E and F letters. You know what I'm saying? And they just continuing to go back. And when we get out here into this world, we are really prepared for everything that we have in front of us because we came from nothing and was able to take nothing and turn it into a lot, not just something, but turn it into a lot. So the youth and black men, the worst thing that we could be up against is when you're trying to do right, but wrong just keep on happening. You trying to do right, but you can't feed your family. You trying to do right, but you don't have no money. Because I was gonna say, as men, we can't be out here broke. No matter what we're coming from. Like you said, when people ask who hurt you, they don't really care about why you don't have. They just know that you don't have.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. No, I unite with that so much. This is my wife. She put this in there. She said, I have asked that question and told my husband, how can a person help you when they are the one that when they are or was the one that hurt you? So you got the person that hurt you saying, well, how can I help you?
But you want me to take a lot of times when you come against something that's real, but you have been broken so much, it's foreign to you. And then people stay in their comfort zone. Like disappointment is comfort. Like you know that somebody's going to disappoint you. And when you find something real and then you don't see the disappointment, you don't believe it, and you constantly pushing for the disappointment in it, because all you know, when your foundation has given you disappointment over and over and over, you can bet that they're going to disappoint you. And then when you find somebody that does not, you're looking for the disappointment. You're creating the hostile environment that doesn't exist.
Right. Because that's what you said, doing what you're comfortable being around those you're comfortable with. And if you get comfortable in being disappointed, and now you're in a situation where they're not disappointing you, you're going to create the environment to get what you are used to getting.
But
I heard you.
but it's true.
You think I don't be listening, but I heard you.
But that's why I say it's important to talk during the talking phase, because I met my wife at an early age. And we actually communicated. We talked.
I lost.
But I will always sit and talk to her and ask her questions. And as someone who wanted to genuinely know her, who genuinely wanted to learn more about her, and I wanted her to know about me, I would ask questions. So, and again, one of those things that I had to sign was, what's your family's background? So I wanted to talk to her and tell her, hey, my mom wasn't here for me, so I might have separation anxiety. If I feel like you playing with me, if I feel like you're not genuine with me and I feel like you're ready to leave and run, that's a trigger for me. So talk to me. Be honest. Talking to her, I had to ask her, what are some of the things, plus I also had to pay attention. You got to pay attention. You just can't ask and expect people to tell you the truth. You got to be able to pay attention to see yourself or see for yourself.
Right.
But I mean, I gotta say it wasn't easy, but shoot, we almost celebrated 19 years now.
Congratulations.
They call that courtship, right? That's the whole
it.
idea behind courtship. And then you think about if you go into court, right? You got two sides of the case. You want to hear, both sides, and then you make your decision on which way you're going to proceed and move forward.
And this wasn't a foreign thing culturally. This wasn't a foreign thing until the destruction. After the destruction, then we, our relationships were based on what was profitable for someone else. Yes. We were selected based on what was profitable for somebody else. Correct. They were able to draw credit lines off pregnant African enslaved women because they knew that they were going to give birth to something that was going to be an asset. Right. So, when we go back through, again, sifting back through that trauma, we got to be careful when we ask questions like who hurt you. And also, congratulations too on 19 years. My wife and I just celebrated our 20th anniversary.
Look at this.
So we exist,
and they say it don't happen.
We real. My wife got 25 coming up.
See what I'm saying?
Right now?
That's because men of honor link together. Men of honor will find themselves a way to link together.
So y'all know I'm an advocate of black love.
Right on.
I'm a big advocate for black men. Like I'm rooting y'all on all the way. When it's storming outside, I'm out there with y'all. Okay, because y'all are much needed.
And men have to. But I was saying that men have to understand and speak with other men to understand, because sometimes women will gaslight men with insecurities that they create in order to manipulate situations.
That's true.
And they will say, well, don't do this because I'm insecure. Or don't do that because I'm insecure. But they can't falsify their insecurities. They won't say what makes them necessarily secure. They'll gaslight you into believing that you make them insecure, and then you feel guilty, and then they'll manipulate. That's something that men need to be careful of, because it happens all the time, and it allows men.
They will. Somebody.
And it allows men to miss good women.
Yeah,
it allows men to not see good women because they're being gaslit by women who say, "Oh, I have insecurities. Oh, that's my insecurity. Oh, don't do this. You're going to threaten my insecurity," when the insecurity is actually ego masquerading as insecurity.
my man. I want to go back to the thing that you said about going around people who and being in environments, because I was just actually I was commenting on a post on Facebook that had that same sentiment about not going around certain types of people, and I think differently about that. I think it's more nuanced than just not going around people who you used to be around with, because the way when I joined the Nation of Islam, my first assignment was to go back to the people who
but the first
you know
thing, and I want to speak to what you said. The first thing you said was you joined the Nation of Islam, so you had to get around a new group.
Yes, right.
You had to get around a new group to draw strength from that new group before you can go back to where you came from.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, but that's a great point, because I think that's the other side of it, because when we promote, leaving our circles and getting out of that was the whole idea with, I just got to get out of the hood. And then you wonder why the hood looked like that. It's because you went off and you did very well and you had no thought to come back to the hood. Brain drain. Because what happens is you were oriented that your number one goal was to leave and never come back. But how can we build if we never go back? How can we inspire? How can we encourage? How can we change things if we never go back?
I agree with like you and Barak, like you have to find that foundation. So what happens is you have to take care of yourself first. And then if you're in a poison situation, you can't get the poison out if you're stuck in the poison. You have to get out of it and then get yourself a foundation. Then you can take your foundation to the people that you love, so then they can get out the poison. If y'all are all clouded together, it's the blind leading the blind.
Yeah, somebody got to put on strength.
Plus the people want to see that you can be successful in what it is that you're saying. If I'm out here and I'm talking about what I'm doing, and people like, Barak, you ain't got no success in it, fam. I see you still struggling. They're not gonna believe me, but when they look at me, they're like, dang, B, I remember where you at now. Okay, I can rock with that.
Something too.
You want me to tell you, I laughed over here because it'd be like the people telling you how to become, like, get your credit straight. You can get a car, you can get a house, and then they don't got none of it.
You still in the apartment
complex. At the end of the class, they said, can you give me a ride back to the street?
Drop it back off.
But you telling me,
exactly.
So, I mean, back to the father figure, because this is why you hear, we kind of talk about it. I saw it changing you personally, like 4 years ago.
Big boy.
When you had your son that you putting up on your lap. Hey, you would tell the people, hey.
Come on. It's time to be a big boy.
Hey.
You got to sit
there
up.
There you go. He said, hey. Yeah. So I saw a change in you. I don't know, because we did the circuit, Cheyenne. We,
been around for a few years.
Yeah, for a good little second. And I just saw how you redirected your life. And was it your son that made you do the father figure? Because I saw the change in you.
I mean, well, Father Figures is a program that we had since 2012. We've always done the work. It's just during COVID, we realized, okay, well, how can we streamline the processes of what we're doing? What can we do in our downtime to be better? Because all my money stopped. The travel industry stopped. Nobody was getting together in groups, so I couldn't do events or shows anymore. So I had to think about it. Well, I realized I cannot leave my family jokes. Because we was doing an event for my birthday before we were supposed to take 42 people to Jamaica. My birthday is March 16th. The world shut down Friday, March 13th. We also lost Brianna the same night. So I got upset when I realized my wife is not safe in her home, in her bed. If I leave to go somewhere, someone can rightfully so. Exactly. Yeah. Definitely shout out and rest in peace to Breonna Taylor. But that made me realize also a few other events also, because I feel like a lot of people feel like just because I tell jokes, they can take me for them. But not realizing that y'all met me right after I got out of prison. Right on. You know what I mean? So I realized I cannot leave jokes to my children. So I had to create something which has made me go harder in my businesses to be able to leave something to him, to his sisters. But I also realized that I don't want my son looking at me saying, okay, my daddy tell jokes. There's nothing wrong with it, but I have to be able to give them something else to talk about their daddy. So
when the institution.
Exactly. Definitely an institution, but I also want them to realize what I do. So now when he talks about his daddy build planes and drones and missiles, how many black kids can you say that do that? You know what I mean?
That's right.
But also I got to realize that I have to pour into him what I want him to pour into the rest of the world.
Yes.
My wife always says that she wants a son so the rest of the world can experience what she experienced through me.
Come on.
A lot of women always ask me, Barak, you ain't got no brothers, no cousins. It ain't because they want to come to our family reunion. Right. You know what I'm saying? They want to duplicate the positive qualities and characteristics that they see in me. So with the mentorship program, what I realized was, you know what? I have to create other positive black boys to grow into black men. My daughter is 17. She likes boys. She's a heterosexual young girl.
Yeah.
I know she likes boys. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I want to make sure that I show her what it looks like, what to expect in these young boys, not only by looking at me, but by looking at the pool of boys that we're creating for your daughters, for your daughters, for your daughters. Yes. So that way the rest of the world could be a safer place. If I create my son to be the type of young man that somebody says, I want my daughter to be with your son.
Right.
Versus, nah, keep that knucklehead from away from my daughter.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Right. So I teach him every day. Big boy, what do girls like?
Money.
Uh-oh.
What do boys like?
Girl.
What kind of girls do you like?
Black girl.
Okay.
Come on.
You see what I'm saying? You feel me? Exactly.
So for those who don't know, you're listening to the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club, the new 99 Jams morning show, right here on 99.1 WUJM. This is community radio, y'all, and this is community that we building right now. If you'd like to support it, you can go to www.99jamstheberg.com and leave a donation and support the work that we're doing. We're in the studio right now with Barak Amen. He's talking about father figures, the male mentorship program right here on the Breakfast Club. Yeah, good stuff, man. And when we talk about one of the things when I read the description to your program, you were explicit about masculine male mentors.
We need masculine, and I say this because the world does not see, and I've been taking so much flack from that. People asking,
that's why I wanted to double click on it.
Why are you asking about masculine black men? Because that's what's needed.
Come on now.
Nobody questioning me when the Department of Corrections is looking for masculine black men.
That's the truth.
You're not questioning the police department when they're looking for masculine black men to take them off the street.
Yes,
we need masculine black men to set the example. And the reason why I say masculine black men is because black masculinity is under attack.
Come on.
We can see it. A lot of people can deny it, but look at the TV shows, look at the movies, look at all of the power that's given to everything else that's against black masculinity.
Black male masculinity, yes.
Black male masculinity, exactly. And I say that because I want positive black masculine men around the youth that we mentor. Yes. I bring my son with me because I want him to see how we interact as black men.
Yes, sir.
Right.
I don't got to always take him to a football game or to a soccer game or a baseball game.
Interactions you want him to see.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But when he see black men doing black man stuff just on the regular, he knows, okay, well, it's cool for me to just be me.
Right.
Yes.
Because I feel like when you have young boys who want cell phones that cost as much as a car payment, or they want their mom to buy them Jordans that's $200 and $300, but his mom gotta buy groceries, or his mom gotta call an outsider to come into the house to fix something that's leaking, but he don't know how to fix a light switch on the wall. He don't know what day the trash go out.
Come on now.
We believe that black boys should be black boys.
Yes.
I want black boys to like black girls.
Right.
Come on now.
I ain't mad at that. Caller, go ahead.
It's Freestyle Friday. What's your name? What's on your mind? You're on the air.
Hey, Damien.
Turn him up a little bit.
Who that, Damian Davis?
Yeah,
Shouts out to Damian Davis.
The other one, the blue button.
Up there like Granny Panties.
Hey, I want to ice Barak, man. Barak. First of all, good morning, King. You know that. But if you gonna do your enterprise conference again, you know I was enjoying that, man. You're gonna bring that back up with the business thing, how you get the business format and how you look group together and do that thing again. If you're gonna crank that back up.
You talking about the how we did when we did the Zoom calls?
Yeah, when we were doing the Zoom calls.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. We're actually spearheading a organization with Leeds. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Leeds, Florida. It's a nonprofit organization. They actually have a fatherhood initiative, the Step Up program. We're gonna be bringing black men in to teach black men fatherhood skills and how to be successful as black men, because it's needed. It's definitely needed. I mean, nobody's giving us a cheat code of how to be black men. When we graduate high school, nobody's showing us what we can do in our black community. They're not telling us what to bring back to the black community. Like you said earlier, they're teaching us how to go to school, get a good job to be an employee. I believe that we should teach you how to learn, because there's a difference between learning and being educated.
Come on now.
So say it again.
There's definitely a difference between learning and being educated, but we definitely want to educate our black men on how to be productive business owners and producers in the black community. So most definitely, we're definitely gonna kick that back up again, bro. I just had some stuff we had to get in order. I was definitely traveling the world with my wife, doing stuff with the family. Family's always first. But most
yeah,
definitely,
you already know it.
most definitely. No,
Yeah,
I appreciate you, and shouts out to you because you definitely came and hit the ground running. You know what I'm saying? Not only putting in great events for the city, but just putting in hard work to stay positive and be that example to the community. So,
hey man,
bro,
you know, like you told when we first talked, man. Iron sharpen iron, man. Keep doing what you're doing, King. Keep knocking down stages. Keep inspiring, man. You know you 100 with me. Can't wait till you get on the podcast, man. Love you and your family, man. And happy King Day to Zeta, man. Thank y'all, man. Love y'all.
Bye.
Salute.
Now I have a question. Since you're talking,
You turned it all the way up. Right?
I did. When we talk about,
I'm dead.
Yeah, you are, because I keep on turning it. Yeah, because it's really loud. We can hear you. But how do you get to all of y'all? Like, how do you get Black men to come to these programs? Because a lot of times people are afraid to put their hand up and be like, I need help. You know what I mean? Like, how do you motivate them to come? Because so many Black men need this, and it's nothing to be ashamed of, because everybody needs somebody.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. A lot of times people want to see proof. The people will rock with you. They're not going to really rock with you from the grassroots. They'll rock with you once they see everybody else is gaining success.
Yeah.
So,
Duh.
but what you got to do though?
It's a group of what we always refer to as the faithful few that's going to be there when you actually baking the cake. But others will come at different phases
to get a slice.
So some will come and say, okay, well, what you got? What you know? Some will come when they smell the oven. Okay, what's baking? And then they'll jump in at that point. But you have to create that motion, and once you create motion, then those who are attracted to it will be drawn to it.
I think that what Black men can do is follow the historical examples that were given to us. One of them being the example of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He came to see his teacher, W. Fard Muhammad, because his wife told him about it.
That's right.
So I think that once we can get women to understand that there's benefit in Black men learning from Black men how to be better men, and they don't see that as a contest or a competition or a degradation to womanhood, femininity, or anything that deals with the kind of relationships, then I think that half of that battle is already won. You would be amazed at the things men do for women. You'd be amazed. But if women uplifted this, and if women said, you know what, honey, I am not going to nag. I'm not going to bother you. I'm going to be open for you as your comfort, but I need you to want to link up with your brethren. You'd be amazed at what the response would be.
And I'll build on that. Minister Farrakhan said that was one of the secrets to the success of the Million Man March, was the Black woman telling her, like, we can't go, but you gonna be there.
Right on.
And doing all that they could to make sure, like, look, you heard about that march? Oh, you ain't hear about the march? Why you ain't going to? And it was Black women organizing Black men to move them and get them on buses. And that was the force behind that 2 million Black men. Was the Black woman was behind the Black man.
I already know what you're about to say. I see it in you. I see it in you. Well, no, I was gonna definitely say, because I was introduced to the Million Man March as a youth by my aunt, but it does feel like a lot of the pressure is put on Black women to really motivate Black men, and Black women have been there far more than we give them credit for. Far more than we give them credit for. But I also want to say that as Black men, we are the leaders of not only our household but of our community. So once we start to stand up and start showing a lot of what we find to be important and what we also see to be nonsense, a lot of the Black women are going to say, well, you know what? I like that. Because a lot of Black women, again, ask me, Barak, what kind of cologne you wearing? Because they want to buy it for their dude.
Right.
Or where you bought that from? Because they want to buy it for their dude.
On Barak don't mean it might smell good on you.
It might not, but now don't go tell him, oh, Barak was wearing this at his show, so I bought this. No, it's a way. When you operate when a Black woman, they do. Bro, they done called me. Hey, fam, I found your flyer in my girl car. How you know my girl? What?
A flyer?
Bro,
she came to my comedy show. I don't know your girl.
No, that's what they say. They say, bro, she can't come to your shows no more. Or either a woman called me and say, nah, I can't come to your shows no more. My dude got up, so he found the flyer.
Yeah, they don't know the game. Listen, if she choose up, she done chose up. If she choose up, she done chose up. They don't know the game.
Let's not go too far on that. Come on back.
If you get knocked for yours, bro, that's just part of the game.
I mean,
when y'all talk about like a Black woman supporting a Black man, right, and then pushing you, but as a good leader, you have to listen to your partner.
And you just think that just because you're leading, everything you say is not 100% right. And when you're looking at your partnership, a Black woman, and I would say this is, and y'all say that I'm different. I don't think I'm that different because I speak to a lot of Black women who think the way that I think. Y'all may not, I do. So, but one thing is everybody wants to be heard. Like I'm telling you, we're rooting for you and we be trying to help and direct. But a lot of times, sometimes y'all don't want to listen. And then everything I would say to you, like, oh, you need a mentor. I can't tell you that you need a mentor. It's kind of how I got, you got to kind of, I can't say.
But we all have reactions to that. Go ahead.
But I'm gonna tell you how. And again, like you said, everybody learns differently. But I can only speak from my personal experience. I believe that when Black women operate in their femininity, there is no reason or no way that we cannot take note. Exactly. A lot of times, and I hate that. And I know hate is a strong word, but I hate to hear Black men say Black women too aggressive. They too. No, they not, because your mama was telling you the same thing. She was giving you the same tone when you was doing wrong. Your sister was giving you the same tone when you was wrong. We just don't want to hear that tone from the woman who we with. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I have to accept that. Again, like I said, knowledge of self is the foundation. So if I know what it is that who I am, if I realize I'm wrong, my wife always she'll tell me when I pass my turn, where you going, babe? I passed my turn. She didn't say, you need to get off, you need to get off, you need to get off. Because if she do that and I'm in traffic or she starts screaming, I don't know what's going on. Right. But if I'd have missed my turn and she say, babe, you missed your turn, or where you going? Now, if I continue to make mistakes, and she says to me, well, I didn't want to say nothing because I didn't know how you was going to take it. But now if she's coming to me in that energy and I'm noticing the energy, I'm not coming back at her with that double masculinity. Like, well, why you ain't? If we're trying to, if it's us against the issue, if it's us trying to get to the same location, we're trying to find direction together. Right. A lot of times it's a competition between Black. Now we know that the Black woman she's definitely going to push you, but we need to be pushed. And should. We need to be pushed because if you got a dude that's soft, or he's misdirecting or mismanaging the family, then he's not worthy to be followed. You know what I'm saying? He's not worthy to be a leader.
The feminine will always push like you said, the feminine will always push the masculine. Definitely. She will always test the masculine because that is the role of the feminine. Her greatest desire is to see you as Shiva. She wants to see that you're unperturbed in your purpose, not even distracted by her, but you are set on your purpose. You're unperturbed in your purpose, and it is her job and her role to test you.
I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, and you mentioned the softness. I think the misunderstood strength of softness is something that we have to really look at and address, not only from the masculine, but also from the feminine perspective, because, they have this whole idea about strong, independent women. And then we talk about femininity and we look at it like it has to be either or, and there's no balance between our strength and our softness. Because as a man, to your point about a man being able to take correction, like that's when you as a man have to display, your willingness to submit. And it's not a time for you to poke your chest out and say, I'm the man, you got to do what I say. Right. But that's us exercising discretion and saying, you know what, I do need to let, myself, chill for a minute and really think and reflect on what I'm being.
What we have to do is create safe spaces, right? Is that, like you say, I don't know how you're going to react if I say something, so I don't say anything, right? Or
I do know how you're going to react.
That's and so I don't say it, which makes it not a safe space for me to help you at that point in time. And I mean, anything is knowing your partner, right? And the thing is for y'all to be on one accord. And when you're angry, sometimes it's not my job to go back and forth with you. It's my job to let you blow. Even though I may have to take these punches, I just let it do. But then
not physical punches.
No,
not physical punches. It's my job to just Qiana thing. It's just to let it be. Because again, I want to fix the problem, and I can't fix the problem while you're not listening.
Men have never been taught. Go. I'm sorry.
I can't fix the problem or help you with the problem if you're not listening. So then I have to wait till I can be soft and deliver it to you where it doesn't bruise your ego at this point, or you feel like I'm challenging your leadership.
But it takes a level of femininity to understand that. But it also takes a man to understand that he has to operate in that same energy.
That's what I mean?
And again, when you in the talking phase, because I don't think a relationship should get to that far to where you at that point. Because if you talking during the talking phase, you're gonna identify this. Oh, he hard headed. He's not gonna take direction. But if you have those conversations of, baby, we're trying to get to the same place. Once you start talking about goals, once you start talking about where you see yourself in so many years, what's your pathway to get there, a woman will naturally want to help you.
Brother Barak Amen, ladies and gentlemen. Brother Barak Amen, ladies and gentlemen.
She's gonna naturally want to get behind you and push you. But when men don't have direction, they don't know what they want, they don't know who they are, that's gonna show. It's just, are you ignoring those red flags because he might got some money, he might be handsome, he might got a circle that you want to be in, a circle of influence. So, but people got to start realizing what they want, because a lot of times we just get into this whole practicing divorce with each relationship because you get with this person, oh, I don't like him, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna get this person, I don't like this person, I'm gonna leave. And you practice on divorce.
And many men have not been taught how to listen to women. You listen to your woman, brothers, masculine men, listen to your woman as an oracle, not as an advisor. She sees, feels, and hears things.
Well, when I learned that,
that's true.
That you can't see, feel, and hear.
When I learned that,
so
Say
because
that again. Say,
listen to your woman as an oracle, not as an advisor. She sees, feels, and hears things that you cannot see, feel, and hear. Your masculinity will block it. Your direction will block it. Your purpose will block it. The fact that you have self-actualization ambitions will block your ability to see certain things. This is why you need women. This is why women and men are not the same. They are not the same because they give each other complementary existence.
And this is why I believe
complementary
in roles.
existence.
Not like that, but
It's complementary existence, and how you define those roles are up to you. But it's understanding that, like what Barak said, it's us against the issue. And once you see that you're a part of a team, and you understand what they bring to the table, it's not what they bring to the table, it's the attributes and strengths, because we all have different gifts, different skills, different talents, different superpowers. And my wife's superpower is her ability to see and feel things that I can't see and feel. And so we go into situations, we both can be looking at the same thing, but we see it different. And there was a time where if she didn't see it the way I saw it, it was a whole problem. But then I started to realize, you know what? She's seeing things that I don't see.
Yes, sir.
And once I started to accept that, then it started to be said. Now it's to the point where it's like, okay, well, what you think? What you see?
And men, if you
how you read this?
As men, just briefly now, I'll be quiet. As men, as masculine men, if you have to ask a woman what she brings to the table, you weren't paying attention. If you have to ask, because you know what you wanted when you went after her.
So this is what to redirect, right, and not to jump out the conversation. This is why it's so important for this father figure mentorship that you have, is because when you look at this, it's hard to recognize this when you haven't had the right foundation, right? You, like you say, like a lot of men is not taught to listen to women, right? Or that to lead is to be strong and to just what I say go, because that's what they think a leader is.
No, sometimes you got to be strong enough to follow too.
A great leader always was a better follower, right?
A servant leader is definitely where it's at. You can't be a dictator. A servant leader gets in.
And it's a difference from a leader to a boss. A boss just tell you what to do. A leader listens and do with you. And go with the people. So there is a difference. So just know the difference. You think that you're leading, but you're just being a boss.
So tell us about the golf tournament. You have a
it's our annual fundraiser. We use these funds for haircuts, back to school supplies, shoes, outfits, and I'm big on doing things from the heart. So we don't take pictures of the kids that we benefit. I'm not there giving you a box of shoes. Look at this. We're not doing that. Now, when we are at the golf tournament, it's basically it's a group. So we take group photos, you know what I mean? Every kid is there, not kids that are in our organization, not every adult that's a part of the organization, but we do take general photos there.
I mean, you got to tell the story.
We do. I used to be so against like taking photos with the kids that we mentor, because growing up, I never wanted to feel like, oh, they can see me. Yeah. You can see my downfall. You can see where I'm at. But what I learned was we do track the progress. We do track what we're doing so people can see, because people want to see what you're doing.
It's your roadmap. It's your diary. It's the way that you paint the picture so that somebody else can come.
How can we as a community, how can we as a community become involved in this? What can we do? Soup the nuts. brass tacks right now today to get involved in the positivity in what you're giving?
Well, again, we are a nonprofit organization, so we do seek, donations. Donations are always good. You can go to, if you're not associated with me on Facebook, you can go to Barak Amen on Facebook. There's no C in my name. Everybody wants to spell it the way it is, the way Obama's name is. There's no C in my name. It's the way it is in the Bible, the book of Judges, chapters 4 and 5. Barak, last name Amen. There's an event that we posted. You can go to my link in my bio. You can go to my business page. There's a donate tab. Also, introduce us to any youth that might need mentorship. If there's any positive, masculine, ambitious Black men that you think would be a great part of the organization, that would be a great mentor, introduce us to them. Come out to the Top Golf fundraiser. This is our opportunity to use this as a meet and greet. Come see us. I know a lot of people know me because my face has been out here, but there are other mentors in the program, because I know not every youth might gravitate towards me. I want to have other Black masculine men around so it can be an organic occurrence. So you can come out and meet who you naturally would gravitate to. But I want the moms to be there too, because the mother knows her child best.
Yes, sir.
So she might see a guy and be like, turn it down, B. She might see a guy and be like, well, I think my son could gravitate towards him because he's got certain aspects. Turn it down, B.
He working on it.
I see him. He pushing the button. But this is our annual fundraiser. We do have other events throughout the year, but we do this pre-Father's Day because a lot of the times dads don't really get the glory that we deserve.
We got a daytime and place,
and that's all right.
It's Top Golf. Top Golf, which is in Brandon, Florida.
Okay.
Sunday, June 11th from 11 to 2 p.m.
Okay. Awesome.
Now, if you show up, we have a meeting room, and we have 6 bays that are already delegated to us. So if you just show up, you are not supporting the cause. You have to purchase a ticket from Eventbrite. Okay. I notice a lot of times we do events, people want they think showing up and showing their faces support. You giving the business to the venue. You know what I mean? We have a specific link and all
exactly
of this.
What you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
we've done fundraisers like that too. Where it's like buy the tickets through us, and then the proceeds go to the cause. But then you just show up and you just want to buy a ticket.
A lot of people mean well. They just
don't follow the instructions.
They don't know.
That's the truth.
So we got 5 minutes left. I think this has been an amazing discussion. I knew that it would be when I saw what you were doing.
Appreciate
spend some time with you and build on what you've been doing, man, and also give you your flowers, because I think that's another one of them things where we have so many Black men that are doing things, and you do it from the heart. So, like you said, you're not looking for recognition, you're not looking for the honor, you're looking for the impact and the outcomes. But it do, from experience, when somebody tell you, "I appreciate you, thank you," it feels good.
And I do say,
so I just want to say it to you, brother. I appreciate you, man.
that.
Thank you for what you're doing with our young people, man. And you can support me here for you.
No, I was just gonna say when people say that, it definitely means it hit different when it's people who know me.
Yeah.
And they know where I come from. When people who was in the mud with me can look at me and say, B, bro, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I see where you at, and I respect what you're doing, and I'm proud of you. It hits different. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
All the people who met me along the way, I still carry that with me as reinforcements throughout my day-to-day, but it hit different when people look at me and say, I'm proud of you. I know you came from.
I mean, yes. This is from a brother who was appointed to city council 6 months ago with a similar story.
Right. And congratulations to you.
So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that's the thing, to be able to show that I'm not an anomaly. Like, it's not just me.
Right.
There's a bunch more me's. They just not on city council. But they're doing all kind of work. They're doing all kind of things. We got an intellectual gangster over here that speak 5 languages. Y'all hear Brother Donnie talking. Y'all don't know that. you know what I'm saying? A historian for real. Like, not just one, a woke brother that got woke on YouTube. Like, this brother, like, is the truth with it. And so that's the whole point of the New Image Project. And I guess I'll just start to land the plane. That's why we created the New Image Project. New Image is an acronym for information, media, arts, graphics, and entertainment. And when we talk about redefining what's cool, that's what this is all about. We wanted to be able to show y'all, like, this is what we consider cool. And if you want to be cool, then you get involved in stuff like this too.
Right.
All right, Q, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Okay.
We can just go however.
Okay.
I'm back to you, Q.
Well, okay. First is make sure you buy your tickets for June 11th.
Support.
Please support. Also, if you have kids out, Sunday, Sunday, we got the same dance and paint.
Okay.
For the kids from 3 to 6. Tickets are $20. Hit me up, inbox. You can go to Eventbrite, buy, go to Ashley. It's a couple other people to do it. It's a fun event for the kids, for kids to be kids, and a good way for parents to bond with them. You say there's nothing to do, this is going to be kid friendly, nothing grown. They can do little dances. They're going to be able to paint, be creative. And then we have kid hosts that are doing this as well. So this is strictly for the community and family base. So if you're looking for something to do on Sunday, 3 to 6, sing, dance, and paint. All right. Be the change you want to be or you want to see, right? Write down those 5 things or more that made you smile, laugh, made you feel good, again, because we just need to appreciate life. Go.
Toxic masculinity is maleness without masculinity. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity, again, is maleness without masculinity.
Right, Barak, final thoughts.
Oh man. Oh man, final thoughts. I would just say, well, I'm gonna send a call to action. I want to call every masculine, ambitious Black man that is underneath the sound of our voices to find a Black youth and mentor. Be a positive influence to that youth. Show them something positive. They should see something more than just basketball players, sports, and drug dealers being quote unquote successful. Show them what true success is by being a leader in our community.
Oh, can I piggyback off that
Yes,
real quick?
ma'am.
Is that if you are a grown Black man and misdirected or going in the wrong place, I challenge you to find somebody that can uplift you and mold you to be the person that you seek to be. And don't be afraid, because again, it's strength in knowing your weakness.
There you go.
I love that. Okay. Look, I heard y'all say it on the front end of the show, and I say it on the back end. We can't forget to teach the adults, because it's the adults that's teaching the children.
That's right.
There's more that needs to be done and needs to be said. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in. This has been the Tampa Bay Breakfast Club. I'm your brother John.
This is Qiana.
The intellectual gangster, your brother Donnie.
And we out. Believe and do good.